The aloof Empress character takes on her first disciple, but it turns out to be a fool, and it must be a rich fool. No poor ones allowed. Even a pervert would call this requirement perverted, but the man casually throws out $1 million, demanding to be accepted as a disciple. He even declares that he will personally fund both the master and the sect. The Empress turns red with anger. Brat, what do you take me for? The man's name is Yifeng. He died from overindulgence in Valorant, and accidentally transmigrated to the Xintian continent, where strength reigns supreme. Without a cheat system, he planned to lay low for a couple of years, but he unexpectedly encountered the Star Soul sect's public disciple recruitment. 2 streaks of light flashed by, and the beautiful sect leader, Luo Qianxue, made a dazzling entrance. But her opening statement was a bombshell. Our sect recruits disciples regardless of talent, age, or cultivation level. The crowd below erupted in cheers. This was definitely a great chance to get close to the beautiful sect leader. Only Yifeng stroked his chin, sensing that things weren't so simple. Sure enough, Luo Qianxue raised a finger and said, "There's only one requirement to join our sect. Submit 10,000 low-grade spirit stones within an hour." Instantly, everyone's dreams were shattered. They all accused the Star Soul sect of being a scam. This isn't recruiting disciples. It's just a scheme to swindle food, drink, money, and even people. Yifeng was also speechless. Isn't this just working on loan? But just as he was about to leave, he heard a ding sound. Congratulations, host, for awakening the invincible spendthrift system. This system can provide unlimited spirit stones and treasures. As long as you keep squandering, you'll grow stronger. You just focus on spending, and I'll handle the rest. It then issued its first task. Join the Star Soul sect. Meanwhile, the sect's steward, Old Bai, seeing that everyone had left, advised Luo Qianxue to lower the standards. But Luo Qianxue insisted that lowering them was out of the question. No money means no fate with our sect. In truth, she was the reincarnation of the previous generation's holy maid who was betrayed and reincarnated. She was solely focused on cultivating and ascending to take revenge, with no intention of taking disciples. The 10,000 spirit stone requirement was just a deliberate obstacle. Luo Qianxue turned to leave, when a chubby blue hand reached out. Disciple is willing to join. Hearing this, Luo Qianxue was shocked, her face filled with disbelief. At this moment, only Yifeng remained in the vast square. Luo Qianxue and Old Bai quickly confirmed. If they had heard correctly, you didn't mishear. The sect has just been established and is short on funds. I am willing to contribute 100,000 spirit stones to join the sect. Then, Yifeng threw a blue storage item to Luo Qianxue. She inspected it, and found it truly contained 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. Luo Qianxue was thunderstruck. How can there really be such a gullible fool in the world? Realizing this was getting out of hand, she cleared her throat. Are you sure you want to join? Our sect doesn't even have a place to live yet. Yifeng replied, that's no problem. I can hire people to build our sect. His foolishly extravagant demeanor made Luo Qianxue's blood pressure spike. She added, our sect is penniless, and we have no resources to offer you. That's even less of a problem. Just tell me what's missing, and I'll buy everything you need. Seeing Luo Qianxue's blood pressure rise again, Yifeng realized that this fairy-like sect leader seemed reluctant to accept him as a disciple. But for the sake of the mission, he refused to back down. Luo Qianxue was trembling with anger, thinking, do I need your money for cultivation resources? She secretly wished she could strangle Yifeng. Can't you tell? I don't want you in the sect. But with Old Bai watching, she had no choice but to continue. Even if you join, I won't guide your cultivation. You won't learn anything. Yifeng was stunned by her words. Then he began to ponder. Seeing him finally show a troubled expression, Luo Qianxue felt smug. As expected, this should scare you off. But the next second, Yifeng said, sect leader, don't worry. I don't need anything. Luo Qianxue knelt on the ground, spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Is this guy a clown sent by the heavens? Spending 100,000 spirit stones for nothing, and still wanting to give more? Is he here to torment me? She directly pulled out her sword, furious and ready to strike Yifeng. What's going on? Yifeng's small head was filled with big question marks. Fortunately, Old Bai stopped Luo Qianxue. She had no choice but to reluctantly accept Yifeng as a disciple. Yifeng's rewards also arrived. Congratulations, host, for completing the task. Reward, 100 spendthrift points. Host squandered 100,000 spirit stones. Reward, 100 spendthrift points. Yifeng was thrilled. Here it comes. Here it comes. The spendthrift points are here. Yifeng immediately asked the system for more tasks, but the system told him to squander on his own first. Any act of squandering would earn him spendthrift points. Immediately, Yifeng turned his attention to Luo Qianxue. He quickly approached her. Sect leader, now that I'm your only disciple, does that make me a direct disciple? Luo Qianxue directly said no. He pouted angrily. Taking you as a disciple is already painful enough, and you still want to be a direct disciple? No way. But Yifeng asked Luo Qianxue to name a price. As long as I can become a direct disciple, Any amount is fine. Luo Qianxue was utterly speechless. Since when can you buy your way into being a direct disciple? But this little guy is quite interesting. Since you're offering, here's the deal. 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. If you can produce that, I'll make an exception and take you as a direct disciple. Hearing this amount, Yifeng was shocked. Seeing his expression, Luo Qianxue laughed inwardly. Where's all that confidence now? Even a regular sect can't produce 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. How can a mortal like you manage it? But Yifeng said, Sect leader, is that all you want? The next second, he pulled out a storage item. Sect leader, here's 500,000 high-grade spirit stones. The remaining 400,000 can be my gift for joining. Yifeng was thrilled. Now my status as a direct disciple is secured. Ding! Congratulations, host, for squandering successfully. Reward, 200 spendthrift points. Luo Qianxue, watching Yifeng's extravagance, was trembling in shock. This is 500,000 spirit stones. Even a third-rate sect would call you their ancestor. If you gave them this amount, she sighed helplessly, reluctantly accepting Yifeng as her direct disciple. Take this Xinqing sword. Consider it my gift to you. Luo Qianxue felt too embarrassed to face anyone. As the holy maiden of the Wuji sacred land, I have to accept gifts from my disciple? This is too humiliating. Yifeng, on the other hand, was even more distressed. The system reminded him, as a spendthrift tycoon, how can you accept gifts from others? It even deducted 20 spendthrift points. Yifeng was furious. This damn system is way too strict. Helpless, he raised the spirit sword and knelt before Luo Qianxue. The beautiful woman was utterly confused by his actions. She asked, what's the meaning of this? Master, I cannot accept this without merit. I cannot take the Xinqing sword. If you insist on giving it, please name a price. The next second, Luo Qianxue snatched the sword back. Do you really think money can buy everything? This was my heartfelt gift. But since you don't appreciate it, forget it. She turned away angrily. This kid has no sense. This is a 7th grade spirit artifact, and you actually returned it? Then she stood up directly, flying away without looking back. Yifeng had no choice but to follow Old Bai, flying toward the sect. Along the way, he learned from the system that the Xintian continent's power levels were divided into 9 major realms: Spirit Sea Realm, Qi Refining Realm, Core Formation Realm, Nascent Soul Realm, Divine Transformation Realm, Void Refining Realm, Soul Formation Realm, Body Integration Realm, and Tribulation Crossing Realm. However, Yifeng couldn't cultivate normally. He could only improve his realm by spending spendthrift points. Spendthrift points could also be used in the system's mall to draw various treasures, formations, pills, and other items. Immediately, Yifeng chose to spend 90 spendthrift points to raise his cultivation to the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sea Realm. In an instant, the spiritual energy within a radius of several hundred meters surged violently, then rushed into his body like a tidal wave. Old Bai, who was flying rapidly, suddenly stopped. He looked at Yifeng in shock. This guy is actually opening his spirit sea? A few minutes passed, and he felt the endless spiritual energy continuously surging into Yifeng's body. Not only did it not stop, but it seemed to intensify even more. How is this possible? The spirit sea he's opening is equivalent to 20 of mine. I've never seen such a prodigy before. At this moment, Yifeng's cultivation finally reached the peak of the 1st level of the Spirit Sea Realm, but Old Bai noticed that the surrounding spiritual energy was still increasing. This can't be. Is he going to break through to the 2nd level of the Spirit Sea Realm as well? With a loud bang, Yifeng broke through to the 2nd level of the Spirit Sea Realm, but the surrounding spiritual energy became even more turbulent. Then, the 3rd level, 4th level. In just 10 minutes, Yifeng had directly broken through to the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sea Realm. Old Bai was going crazy. Good heavens, what kind of monster is this kid? At this moment, Yifeng finally opened his eyes. He was very dissatisfied that it took him 10 minutes to reach the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sea Realm. With a system like mine, shouldn't it be instantaneous? He looked at Old Bai with a pitiful expression. It took me 10 minutes to go from opening my spirit to reaching the peak of the 9th level. Will Master think I'm a failure? What kind of humble brag is this? If you're a failure, then what am I? It turned out that Old Bai was also considered a prodigy in his time. But even with ample resources and guidance from experts, it took him 8 months to reach the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sea Realm. No wonder you don't need the sect's cultivation techniques. You already have your own powerful cultivation method. Yifeng was stunned. What cultivation method? I don't have one. I don't even have a spiritual root. Old Bai shouted. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Then he extended his right hand to inspect Yifeng. After a moment, Old Bai stepped back several steps. He looked at Yifeng, who appeared innocent, as if he were looking at a monster. Kid, you really don't have a spiritual root, and that's not a spirit sea you've opened. It's a damn ocean. Unable to make sense of it, he stopped thinking. Let's go. Your situation is something your master needs to see. Old Bai's reasoning was simple. Since Yi Feng wasn't his disciple, this bizarre situation should be left for his master to deal with. A few minutes later, Old Bai, Miss, your precious disciple was breaking through outside. The spirit sea he opened is 20 times larger than yours, and he reached the peak of the 9th level of the spirit sea realm, and he doesn't even have a spiritual root. Luo Qianxue was shocked. She rushed to Yi Feng to inspect him. After sensing the vast ocean within Yi Feng's body, she couldn't help but gasp. Yi Feng, you don't even have a spiritual root? How did you open your spirit sea and break through? Just as Yi Feng was thinking of how to explain, an extremely arrogant voice came from outside the door. Yuan Yu sect has come to visit. We request the sect leader of the Star Soul sect to come out and meet us. Hearing this, Luo Qianxue thought that if Yi Feng were to be humiliated by them, he might just leave the sect. But Yi Feng directly asked, can I use talismans? After receiving an affirmative answer, Yi Feng swaggered toward the crowd with an arrogant stride. The 3 disciples of the Yuan Yu sect, seeing Yi Feng's confident demeanor, felt assured and began to flex their muscles. But then, Yi Feng started pulling out talismans from his system space. Soon, stacks of talismans appeared before everyone. In no time, they piled up into a small mountain. The disciples of the Yuan Yu sect widened their eyes. Holy crap, so many heavenly thunder talismans. There must be thousands of them. The elder of the Yuan Yu sect was also shocked. Those are 9th grade heavenly thunder talismans. Just one of them is equivalent to a full power strike from a 9th level spirit sea realm cultivator. How are we supposed to fight this? The next second, Yi Feng grabbed a handful of talismans and threw them into the air. Heavenly thunder talismans, explode for me. In an instant, dozens of thick bolts of heavenly thunder descended. The training ground was filled with the sound of explosions. The 3 disciples of the Yuan Yu sect were sent into chaos, frantically fleeing. Yi Feng, on the other hand, was having fun. He kept throwing handfuls of heavenly thunder talismans into the sky, reminiscent of setting off firecrackers as a child. Luo Qianxue and the others were dumbfounded. These are 9th grade heavenly thunder talismans. Each one is worth 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Other cultivators use them as trump cards, but Yi Feng is throwing them around like toys. The 3 disciples of the Yuan Yu sect were in a sorry state. Master, let's get out of here. The Star Soul sect is too rich. They're throwing heavenly thunder talismans around for fun. We can't afford to mess with them. Luo Qianxue watched the scene unfold, thinking the Yuan Yu sect is no match. They're completely being toyed with by Yi Feng. After several hours of relentless bombardment, the 3 disciples, though not dead, were thoroughly battered. Yi Feng, however, was having more and more fun, getting more and more into it. The 3 disciples hurriedly sought out their master, begging him to take them away. The elder swallowed hard. The Star Soul sect is too formidable. We've really kicked an iron plate today. He prepared to flee with his disciples, but Luo Qianxue flew after them, releasing her nascent soul realm cultivation. Do you think the Star Soul sect is a place you can come and go as you please? It's not that easy. Seeing Luo Qianxue's nascent soul realm cultivation, the elder was terrified. With her strength, she could annihilate the Yuan Yu sect single-handedly. Luo Qianxue then declared, each of you, cripple one arm, and I'll let you leave. Although the 4 members of the Yuan Yu sect were inwardly lamenting, they had no choice but to comply. Given the circumstances, they immediately crippled their left arms. Luo Qianxue nodded in satisfaction and let them roll away. Seeing this, Yi Feng also gasped in shock. He thought, this woman is ruthless. As the Yuan Yu sect members left, Luo Qianxue told Yi Feng to put away the heavenly thunder talismans. But Yi Feng said, Master, could you do me a favor? Help me throw these heavenly thunder talismans. There are still over 9,000 left. I can't throw them all by myself. Luo Qianxue's face darkened, her lips twitching, but she held back her words. After all, she was the holy maiden of the Wuji's sacred land. If her disciple didn't care about these talismans, how could she? Fine, I'll help you throw them. The 2 then began an immersive talisman throwing session. As they continuously threw talismans into the sky, the heavens above seemed to burst into countless dazzling fireworks. Watching this spectacle, Luo Qianxue couldn't help but be mesmerized. Her thoughts drifted back to the past. Back in the Wuji's sacred land, her junior sister always pestered her to set off fireworks, but she was too focused on cultivation and always refused. At the time, her junior sister advised her not to always cultivate, but to relax occasionally. Otherwise, when you die, you won't have enjoyed life. Wouldn't that be even more painful? Luo Qianxue didn't understand back then, but now she seemed to grasp something. A faint smile appeared on her beautiful lips. Suddenly, she felt that spending time with this troublesome disciple, Yi Feng, made her previously dull life suddenly become interesting. Meanwhile, Old Bai was snoring loudly, but one of his earplugs had fallen out. The booming explosions immediately woke him up. Thinking it was an enemy attack, he jolted awake, only to realize it was the heavenly thunder talismans. When he got dressed and went, he was completely dumbfounded. What are you doing? Luo Qianxue, while elegantly throwing talismans, replied, we're disposing of these heavenly thunder talismans. Yi Feng immediately invited Old Bai to join them, Old Bai smacked Yifeng on the head. This is ridiculous. Each one is worth 1,000 spirit stones. This is just wasteful. Miss you too. How can you indulge in this nonsense with him? The next second, a glowing storage ring appeared before him. Old Bai, you're getting old. If we disturbed your sleep, here's 100,000 spirit stones to buy whatever you need. Kid, are you looking down on me? Old Bai instantly tore off his shirt, revealing his muscular physique. Though I'm old, I'm still strong. You youngsters will take forever to throw all these. Leave the rest to me. With a powerful grab, countless heavenly thunder talismans were thrown into the air. Watching Old Bai's hands move so fast they left after images, Yifeng exclaimed, incredible. At this moment, the system's reward notification came. Congratulations, host, for successful squandering. Reward, 100 points. This works too. I should spend more spirit stones to get Old Bai's help in the future. The next day arrived. The sect's training ground had been turned into a massive crater by the heavenly thunder talismans. Old Bai was completely exhausted. He never imagined he'd be physically and mentally drained from throwing talismans. But soon, Old Bai turned to Yifeng with a smile. Kid, feel free to call me for such physical tasks in the future. I'm not old yet. I've still got plenty of strength. Luo Qianxue couldn't bear to watch. She felt that the sect, with only 3 people, was about to fall into chaos. Old Bai, you're one of the Star Soul sect's 8 elders. How could you sell yourself for 100,000 spirit stones? Old Bai claimed it was a matter of pride for the elderly, but inwardly he thought, Yifeng is just too generous. The system then notified, congratulations, host, for squandering today's resources. Reward, 1,000 spendthrift points. Yifeng was shocked. Does this mean I can now reach the 9th level of the Qi movement realm? And I'll still have over 500 spendthrift points left to open a few treasure chests for fun. At this point, Yifeng had a bold idea. If the sect recruits more disciples, my squandering speed could double, right? Then, if I spend money to expand the sect, I could skyrocket in power. Thinking this, Yifeng felt ecstatic. He couldn't wait to go out and recruit disciples. Just then, a knocking sound came from the sect's main gate. The person knocking gently pushed the door open, revealing a delicate face that immediately caught everyone's attention. But as soon as the young man entered, he was stunned by the scene before him. The courtyard was a massive crater, still smoking. A frail old man on the verge of collapse, a cold, intimidating woman, and a seemingly foolish guy, twisting and turning like an idiot. The young man wondered if it was too late to run away now. Just then, Yifeng swiftly moved in front of him. Young man, how about joining the Star Soul sect? Just 10,000 low-grade spirit stones and you're in. 100,000 high-grade spirit stones and you can become the beautiful sect leader's direct disciple. No tricks, you're worth it. And I'm the sect's first disciple, and the sect leader's first direct disciple. Yifeng eagerly waited for the young man to say he had no money, so he could offer to pay for everything. The young man turned to leave. This sect doesn't care about anything but money. Even direct disciples can be bought. This is too absurd. I'm out of here. But Yifeng wouldn't let him leave so easily. He grabbed the young man's shoulder. Don't go. Think about it. Just as the young man was about to refuse, a voice echoed in his mind. Wu Feng, pay the 10,000 spirit stones, and stay. I feel at ease with you in this sect. After hearing his grandfather's words, the young man fell into deep thought. Then, he was dragged by Yifeng to Luo Qianxue. Master, I want this junior brother. Look how obedient he is. The young man didn't understand why his grandfather wanted him to stay in such an unreliable sect, but he decided to follow his grandfather's advice. Luo Qianxue sighed. You have 1 hour to submit 10,000 low-grade spirit stones to join the sect. She thought to herself. This young man clearly wanted to leave, but Yifeng dragged him back. Let's just send him away quickly. But Yifeng didn't care what Luo Qianxue was thinking. He was determined to keep this junior brother. Just as he was about to pay the 10,000 spirit stones for the young man reached into his pocket and said, Here are 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Please accept me, sect leader. I wish to join the Star Soul sect. Luo Qianxue was stunned. What's happening to this world? Are 10,000 low-grade spirit stones as common as cabbages now? She felt like she'd experienced more shocks in the past 2 days than in the past few centuries. Let me be clear up front. The sect won't provide you with any cultivation resources, and I won't guide your cultivation. Even so, do you still want to stay? To her surprise, the young man, like Yifeng, said he didn't need any of that. Luo Qianxue nearly spat out blood. Old Bai, unaware of the situation, congratulated her on gaining another disciple. But Luo Qianxue felt utterly exhausted. She said she would guide their cultivation tomorrow and show them their dormitory locations, then quickly left with Old Bai. She felt that the events of the past 2 days were too overwhelming and needed some time to recover. Yifeng thought his master was just tired. He looked at his new junior brother with growing excitement. His squandering ambitions now had a brighter future. After some conversation, Yifeng learned that the new junior brother's name was Long Wufeng. He immediately patted his chest, promising Long Wufeng that this made Long Wufeng shiver. His intuition told him that in this unreliable sect, this seemingly foolish senior brother was probably the most unreliable of all. An hour later, both of them had settled into their rooms. Long Wufeng invited Yifeng to sit down. Yifeng happily agreed. When Yifeng saw the various tools and the massive alchemy furnace in the room, he realized that his junior brother was an alchemist. Long Wufeng proudly declared that he was a third-grade alchemist. In this world, alchemists, artifact refiners, and formation masters were highly respected professions. Just by revealing their identity, they could command respect from most people. Long Wufeng imagined that Yifeng, upon learning his identity, would treat him with great respect. Moreover, his cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level of the core formation realm, which he thought would surely shock Yifeng. But Yifeng just casually said, "Oh." Long Wufeng was stunned. "You just say, 'oh' after learning my identity? What's with this cold reaction? Shouldn't you be shocked and shower me with praise?" Before he could think further, Yifeng continued asking, "Which of the 3 types of spirit herbs are the most valuable?" Long Wufeng eagerly listed over a dozen herbs, each of which was a rare treasure, even in the eyes of a 9th-grade alchemist. Yifeng then opened the system's spendthrift maul, selected 3 of the herbs Long Wufeng had mentioned, and began opening treasure chests. After spending 1,200 spendthrift points, he obtained 2 of each herb. Then, he turned to Long Wufeng and said, "Junior brother, you must be thirsty. Let me get you some water." With that, he dashed out like the wind. Yifeng's enthusiasm moved Long Wufeng deeply, and he even considered refining a few extra pills for Yifeng. But less than 5 seconds later, Yifeng returned, holding a bowl of what looked like a delicious soup. Long Wufeng was puzzled by the bowl, but when he saw the contents, he was stunned. Inside were the priceless spirit herbs he had just mentioned. He couldn't believe his eyes. Ignoring the heat, he grabbed the herbs, feeling like this was a terrible waste. Such precious herbs were being used to make soup. He was about to explain to Yifeng, when suddenly, his hands were empty. Yifeng said, "I heard that soaking spirit herbs in water, since you don't like it, I'll just throw them away." With that, he tossed the herbs on the ground, and even stepped on them a few times. Long Wufeng was horrified. He immediately lunged forward, trying to protect the herbs, but when he looked down, he was devastated. The herbs were ruined. He collapsed to the ground, wailing like a heartbroken maiden. Such rare spirit herbs. Even my grandfather has never seen them, and now they're gone. Meanwhile, Yifeng, having squandered so extravagantly in front of Long Wufeng, earned 1,500 spendthrift points. Yifeng was thrilled. This round was a huge win. He casually comforted his junior brother, and then left without looking back. Back in his room, Yifeng tossed the remaining herbs into a wooden tub, and started soaking his feet in it. He even let out a satisfied sigh, marveling at how amazing the top-grade spirit. But he didn't notice that his legs were gradually turning black. Just then, Long Wufeng arrived at Yifeng's door. Although he didn't know where Yifeng had gotten the herbs, he felt it was necessary to warn him. Of course, it wasn't because he coveted the herbs. Definitely not. He knew that while each of the 3 herbs was incredibly valuable, 2 of them, when used together, would produce a deadly poison. As he was about to knock, he heard Yifeng shout from inside, "What the hell? Why can't I feel my legs? And why are they so black?" Long Wufeng's heart sank. He kicked open the door, and found Yifeng panicking. Yifeng desperately asked what was happening, but Long Wufeng was too distracted by the sight of the foot-soaking tub. "Those are top-grade 3rd-tier spirit herbs. How could you use them to soak your feet?" Yifeng, meanwhile, earned another 1,500 spendthrift points from Long Wufeng's distress. The system then notified him that he could spend 1,000 spendthrift points to instantly detoxify himself. Yifeng thought, "No problem then." Long Wufeng, suppressing his anger, said to Yifeng, "I was just about to tell you that 2 of those herbs are highly toxic when combined." Yifeng, now calm, simply nodded and said, "Got it. Thanks for the heads up." But inwardly he was already planning his next extravagant squandering spree. "But you actually used them to soak your feet." Yifeng grinned mischievously. In the next second, the black color on his feet gradually faded. In less than a second, all the poison was neutralized. Long Wufeng was shocked when he saw this. How is this possible? Dealing with such a potent poison is usually very troublesome. But then he saw Yifeng dip his feet in again. Long Wufeng felt completely unnerved, and Yifeng, after learning that the system could also detoxify others, directly invited Long Wufeng to join him in soaking his feet. "Come here, my dear junior brother. Come to your big brother's side. Don't be afraid. I'll help you detoxify." This scene sent a shiver down Long Wufeng's spine. "Senior brother, stop joking. I'm not interested in men, and that's highly toxic water. Who would dare soak in it?" With that, he dashed away in a flash. Half an hour later, Yifeng spent another 1,000 extravagance points to detoxify. Then, he spent 900 extravagance points to have the system boost his cultivation to the peak of the 9th level of the Qi movement stage. In the main hall of the sect, Ruo Qianxue was feeling frustrated. She felt that Yifeng that scoundrel, was sent by the heavens to torment her. Now, with Long Wufeng added to the mix, how was she supposed to live like this? Suddenly, she and Old Bai sensed a violent surge of spiritual energy. The commotion was so massive that it enveloped the entire Xinghuan sect, and the direction of all the spiritual energy convergence was the area where the disciples resided. Old Bai was puzzled. Could it be that Yifeng, who just broke through to the 9th level of the Sea Realm, is about to break through again? Recalling Yifeng's, Old Bai felt it wasn't impossible, but this time, would he break through continuously again? Sure enough. 10 minutes later, a beam of light shot into the sky, and Yifeng's aura reached the peak of the 9th level of the Qi movement stage. Ruo Qianxue, who had been furious moments ago, suddenly deflated. Old Bai, in a few days, will he surpass me, the sect leader? Seeing the teary-eyed expression of his young mistress, Old Bai awkwardly scratched his head. Maybe I should comfort her first. On the other side, Yifeng woke up the next day. The first thing he did was open the system panel. When he saw that today's extravagance product was 10,000 pills of the 3 revolutions clear mystic pill, he was puzzled. What is this? He wanted to ask his junior brother, Bai Yefeng, a 3rd-grade alchemist, but after searching for a while, he couldn't find Long Wufeng. He wondered if he had scared his junior brother away with his antics yesterday. At that moment, the sect's steward, Old Bai, approached. He said that Long Wufeng and Ruo Qianxue had gone to the city to buy spiritual herbs. Since he had business in the city, he could take Yifeng along. Yifeng was overjoyed, grinning like a fool. After 5 hours of flying, they finally arrived in the city, but to his surprise, Old Bai simply warned him not to cause trouble, and vanished in a flash, leaving Yifeng alone in the cold wind. Helpless, Yifeng wandered around the city. Soon, he came across a shop called Tianyu Auction House. Yifeng decided to take a look inside, but then he thought, given how extravagant I am, could there be any danger? At that moment, the system notified him that if he were in danger, the system's Tycoon Guard army would automatically appear to resolve any threats to his safety. Reassured, Yifeng confidently strode into the auction house. As soon as he entered, a shop assistant warmly greeted him. Upon learning that Yifeng was there to auction pills, the assistant respectfully invited him inside. Inside, an old man with white hair, smoking a pipe, came into view. The scene was set for what would come next. This man was named Chao Anshan, a 6th-grade alchemist. Yifeng casually tossed the clear mystic pill in front of the old man. To his surprise, the old man scoffed. I thought it was something good, a mere 3rd-grade clear mystic pill? But then, when Chao Anshan glanced at the pill again, he was completely stunned. This is a 9 revolutions clear mystic pill. Yifeng was confused. Is this pill really that amazing? Chao Anshan's body trembled as he explained, although the clear mystic pill can only be consumed by cultivators at the Sea Realm or below, this is a 9 revolutions pill. Its medicinal efficacy is maximized. In my 100 years of alchemy, this is the first time I've seen a 9 revolutions pill. Yifeng, who had never dealt with pills before, was baffled. What's this about 9 revolutions? What does it mean? Chao Anshan explained. Young master, under ideal conditions, a complete pill has 9 revolutions. 1 revolution means the pill's efficacy is only 10%, 2 revolutions mean 20%, and so on. He continued to elaborate on how extraordinary the 9 revolutions clear mystic pill was, but Yifeng found the old man's rambling annoying, like a buzzing fly. Impatient, Yifeng slammed the table and said, I don't care how amazing this pill is, just tell me how much it's worth. Chao Anshan pondered for a moment. A 3rd-grade pill normally sells for hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones, but this clear mystic pill not only purges impurities from the body, it's also a 9 revolutions pill. So, to determine its exact value, we'll have to put it up for auction. Yifeng was shocked. A single pill is worth hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones? That's ridiculous. He had forgotten that he had spent over 10 million low-grade spirit stones in the past 2 days. Hearing Yifeng call such an incredible pill a piece of junk, Chao Anshan trembled with anger. But considering that Yifeng might be the young master of some powerful sect, and so extravagantly wealthy, he respectfully said, there's an auction this afternoon. Young master, please wait just half a day. Yifeng then tossed him another clear mystic pill, telling him to auction both pills together. Let me know how much they sell for, and I'll come back to collect the money, he said before leaving. His arrogant demeanor left Chao Anshan gritting his teeth in frustration. As Yifeng walked away, he muttered, if this junk pill is so expensive, I wonder how many fools will bid on these. Hearing this, Chao Anshan, a 6th-grade alchemist and a Sea Realm expert, was utterly speechless. Afterward, Yifeng continued to wander around. He casually munched on the 9 revolutions clear mystic pills, like they were snacks. Then, he noticed a small yellow dog lying weakly under a tree. Seeing the dog's pitiful yet adorable appearance, Yifeng walked over and said, little dog, I've calculated that we're fated. How about you follow me from now on? Unbeknownst to the dog, Yifeng only thought that since it looked so hungry, it would surely eat a lot. With this dog, he could feed it all the extravagant pills the system produced in the future. When people realized they were living worse than a dog, they'd surely be devastated. Thinking of this, Yifeng found the little yellow dog more and more appealing. He then took the dog to a restaurant, planning to give it a proper bath. When the waiter saw the dirty dog in Yifeng's arms, he blocked Yifeng's path, saying the dog couldn't enter the restaurant. No matter how many spirit stones you offer, it's not allowed. Yifeng smirked. Oh really? I don't believe you. In the next moment, the waiter obediently brought warm water to bathe the dog. Even Yifeng felt embarrassed and said, "Get lost." The waiter scurried away immediately. After cleaning the dog, Yifeng picked it up and prepared to put it to work. The dog didn't disappoint. It gobbled up the clear mystic pills, as if they were free. Yifeng was delighted. This dog is amazing. It just can't stop eating. You'll be working for me for the rest of your life. Then, Yifeng decided to go out for a stroll. As soon as Yifeng left the room, the dog, which had been devouring the pills, suddenly raised its head. It felt as though something had changed in its mind. After letting out a comfortable groan, it collapsed. After some time, the dog opened its eyes to see Yifeng scolding it for being lazy. But the dog felt dizzy and disoriented. Seeing its condition, Yifeng said he was also tired. Since that's the case, let's just sleep together. So, he picked up the dog and went to bed. At that moment, Yifeng had no idea that the little yellow dog, after eating thousands of 9 revolutions clear mystic pills, was evolving into a spirit beast. One day, it might just give him a big surprise. Meanwhile, Ruo Qinxue and Long Wufeng arrived at the Tianyu auction house. That 2 9 revolutions 3rd grade clear mystic pills would be auctioned today. For a moment, she felt her 2 disciples were incredibly lucky. She had brought Long Wufeng out to buy herbs, and they happened to encounter the never-before-seen 9 revolutions clear mystic pills. These 2 pills would be immensely beneficial for them. She decided that no matter the cost, she would secure them for her disciples. By then, Yifeng would surely be overwhelmed with gratitude. He would be deeply thankful to her. Just imagining Yifeng being humbled by her filled her with a sense of satisfaction. Meanwhile, Old Bai finally met up with his old friend. He complained that after finally making the trip, he hadn't seen his friend all morning. The old man mysteriously said, "Old Bai, today our auction house received 2 special pills, 3rd grade clear mystic pills. Guess how many revolutions they have?" Old Bai replied, "For you to be so excited, they must be at least 7 revolutions. Did one of those old masters refine them?" The old man shook his head. No. They're 9 revolutions. There are 2 of them. I don't know who refined them, but they were brought in by a young man. Old Bai paused for a moment. "Old friend, do you know the young man's name?" "No. He didn't leave any information. Just said he'd come back for the auction proceeds and left." For some reason, Old Bai's mind began to form an image of someone. The old man continued, "That young man didn't seem to care about the pills at all. He's likely a young master from some powerful sect or sacred land." At that moment, the image of Yifeng became clear in Old Bai's mind. Who else could be so extravagantly wasteful but him? Old Bai stood up and said, "Come with me. I'll take you to meet someone. My young mistress has established a sect. I'll introduce you to her direct disciple." The old man was puzzled. What's so special about a direct disciple? Old Bai sighed meaningfully. You wouldn't understand. Soon, the 2 arrived at Yifeng's residence. But after knocking for a while, no one answered. Old Bai thought, a proper cultivator shouldn't waste precious time sleeping. With a kick, he forced the door open. The moment the door opened, the 2 old men were stunned. On the table was a dog bowl, and pills scattered all over the floor. None other than the 9 revolutions, 3rd grade clear mystic pills. At that moment, Yifeng woke up, drowsily asking Old Bai why he was there. Then, he looked down and noticed the mess of pills on the floor. Aren't these the 9 revolutions 3rd grade clear mystic pills? Yifeng, still groggy, asked Old Bai why he had come. Then, he looked down and noticed the mess of pills on the floor. The little yellow dog, which was supposed to be eating the pills for him, was now sleeping even more soundly than he was. Yifeng was furious. "Stupid dog, did you finish all those pills before sleeping?" But to his surprise, the dog had become picky, even kicking the pills aside with a look of disdain. This scene left the 2 old men utterly stunned. These were pills they would have treasured and passed down as family heirlooms, yet they were being rejected by a dog. At that moment, Old Bai noticed something unusual about the little yellow dog. Spiritual energy was naturally flowing into its body. In less than a year, it could become a spirit beast, but it didn't have the bloodline of a spirit beast. It was evolving on its own. The old man in red realized the source of the problem and asked Yifeng, "How many clear mystic pills did you feed this dog?" Yifeng, puzzled, thought for a moment and said, "Not many, really. Maybe around 2,000? The old man in red was completely shaken. He grabbed Old Bai and shouted, "That's 2,000 pills. Such precious pills, and you fed them to a dog? Old Bai, is this how your Xinghuan sect disciples behave? Aren't you going to do something about it?" Old Bai sighed helplessly. "How can I control him? This kid is ridiculously wealthy. I even work for him. How am I supposed to control him? The old man in red couldn't believe it. You, one of the 8 elders of the Xinghuan sect, a third-level tribulation transcension expert, are working for a disciple of your own sect? Old Bai explained. I didn't want to, but he pays too well. At that moment, Yifeng walked over. Old Bai, can you do me a favor? Same deal, 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. The dogs become picky, and I still have over 7,000 pills to get rid of. Remembering the time, he had to throw away 9,000 talismans. Old Bai quickly asked, how many pills are left? Yifeng replied, not many, not many. Old Bai sighed. If that's the case, then bring it on. In the next moment, Yifeng dumped out 7,000 pills. This act nearly scared the souls out of the 2 old men. Old Bai was speechless. He didn't want to be exploited by this kid, but these were 9 revolutions top-grade pills, and there were 100,000 high-grade spirit stones on the line. So, with a determined glint in his eyes, he began devouring the pills. Yifeng scolded the little yellow dog. You better start eating too, or I'll stew you. And so, the scene of a man and a dog frantically eating pills unfolded. This shattered the old man in red's worldview. What's wrong with this world? Has everyone gone mad? Yifeng cheered Old Bai on. Keep it up. You're not going to lose to a dog, are you? Old Bai hadn't expected that 9 revolutions pills would taste so delicious. Although they had no effect on him now, he had once taken a 5 revolutions pill in his youth. Back then, he had spent 10 years worth of savings on that single pill. But compared to these 9 revolutions pills, it was garbage. Old Bai couldn't help but cry. If only I had been born at the right time. If I had encountered such an opportunity 60 years ago, when I was young. Seeing Old Bai cry while eating, Yifeng quickly said, Old Bai, it's okay if you can't finish. You'll still get your 100,000 spirit stones. The old man in red said, young man, you wouldn't understand. If we had access to such pills back in our day, we might have already transcended the 9 heavenly tribulations, ascended to immortality. Instead, we're stuck here with no hope in sight. Outwardly, we may seem impressive, but no one knows that if we fail to withstand the next tribulation, we'll perish completely. Yifeng suddenly understood. He turned to the old man in red and asked, would you like to join us and feast on these pills? Of course, I won't ask you to help for free. Same deal, 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Hearing this, the old man in red immediately stopped crying. He hesitated. I'm not a member of the Xinghuan sect. Wouldn't it be inappropriate? But even as he spoke, his hands were already moving to grab the pills. An hour passed, and Yifeng noticed there were still thousands of pills left. He sighed. The combined efforts of 2 men and a dog still aren't enough. Old Bai asked Yifeng, were the 2 pills at the auction house also yours? Yifeng replied yes. He couldn't believe a single pill could sell for 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. I wonder who the sucker was who bought them. The old man in red was speechless. $1 million for 1 pill would still be a bargain. Meanwhile, sect leader Luo Qianxue had left the auction house. She sensed that Yifeng and Old Bai were in a hotel room nearby. Long Wufeng was excited, eager to show Yifeng what they had won at the auction. He rushed in and shouted, Senior brother Yifeng, look what master got for us. Luo Qianxue smirked. What does money matter? Pills of this level are priceless. When they reached the door, Luo Qianxue asked Long Wufeng why he wasn't going in. Long Wufeng trembled as he pointed inside. There, 3 men and a dog were feasting on pills, and the dog was even vomiting from overeating. When Luo Qianxue saw this scene, her worldview, along with her sanity, completely shattered. This was the most humiliating moment of her 2 lifetimes. She couldn't hold back a mouthful of blood. Old Bai and the others noticed Luo Qianxue's arrival. Seeing the pills scattered on the floor, Yifeng realized the sucker was none other than her. Luo Qianxue felt utterly defeated. She had been wrong all along. The pills she had fought tooth and nail for at the auction were now being fed to a dog. She had thought she could finally gain the upper hand, but instead, she had lost everything, even her dignity. Old Bai chuckled. Young mistress, your intentions were noble. After all, you did it for their sake. Yifeng then said, Master, senior brother, if you want to eat the pills, go ahead. Long Wufeng's mouth watered instantly. The 9 revolutions clear mystic pills were incredibly beneficial to him. Yifeng assured him, there's plenty to go around. Eat as much as you want. Don't hold back. Long Wufeng shouted, my insatiable appetite. Today, you're going all out. A great opportunity has come knocking. I must seize it with Luo Qianxue was speechless. Is he in such a hurry to reincarnate? Suddenly, Long Wufeng noticed a few pills falling off the table and landing in front of the big yellow dog. The dog gave him a look as if to say, what's this? Long Wufeng panicked. No beast can resist the allure of these pills. If the dog eats them, it would be such a waste. But then, the scene took a sudden turn. The dog didn't even glance at the pills. Instead, it kicked them away and gave a disdainful smirk. Pfft, even a dog wouldn't eat this junk. I'd rather step on it. Long Wufeng was utterly shattered. Has the world gone mad? The old man in red approached Luo Qianxue and said, Sect leader Luo, I've been paid to do a job, so I shouldn't say too much. But as their master, you really need to discipline your disciple. That kid fed 2009 revolutions pills to a dog. It's such a waste. Yifeng retorted, it makes sense. Humans can't eat as fast as a dog. Long Wufeng picked up the dog. This thing ate 2,000 pills? My life isn't even as good as a dog's. Yifeng urged the three to stop talking and start eating. He was worried about the slow progress. Luo Qinxue sat across from them, outwardly calm but inwardly exasperated. How did I end up with such a spendthrift disciple? An hour later, the three men, looking as if they were 10 months pregnant, collapsed on the floor, unable to move. Luo Qinxue sat across from them, outwardly calm but inwardly exasperated. How did I end up with such a spendthrift disciple? Hour later, the three men, looking as if they were 10 months pregnant, collapsed on the floor, unable to move. Luo Qinxue sat across from them, outwardly calm but inwardly exasperated. They shouted, we can't do it anymore. We can't eat anymore. Yifeng sighed. Seems like our combat strength still isn't enough. There are still 2,000 pills left. He then glanced at Luo Qinxue. Luo Qinxue immediately refused. I absolutely won't eat anymore. Yifeng told her not to worry about the details. You'll get used to it after a few more times. Luo Qinxue said, these clear mystic pills were bought at a high price. If I take them back to my father's sect, it could significantly boost the sect's strength. Yifeng immediately refused. These are the system's extravagance products. They can only be consumed for extravagance, not traded. Luo Qinxue thought the offer was too low. She slammed the table and said she could offer 10 times the price. The three men were embarrassed. Do you think this guy looks like he's short on money? Luo Qinxue realized her mistake. As a master, she shouldn't be discussing money with her disciple. Besides, this guy was ridiculously wealthy. Then she was stunned. Yifeng was arranging the pills with roses as decoration. Master, try these rose-flavored 9 revolutions pills. As expected, girls love flowers. The trick worked. Luo Qinxue picked up a pill and examined it carefully. A faint blush appeared on her face. She even began to play with her ear, giving Yifeng a look that said, you know what to do tonight. Half an hour later, they finally finished the pills, tears in their eyes. Long Wufeng was so overwhelmed that he passed out. Congratulations, host. Extravagant successful. Reward, 300 extravagance points. Congratulations, host. All today's extravagance products have been consumed. Reward, 1000 extravagance points. Reward, 9-leaf soul returning grass x3. Reward, 9-grade golden silkworm x15. Note, consuming reward items in an extravagant manner will not grant additional extravagance points. Host may use them freely. Yifeng was pleased. Not only did he receive extravagance points, but there were also other rewards. Luo Qinxue, numb from eating so many pills, asked Old Bai, do you think there's any point in me running this sect anymore? He doesn't need guidance for cultivation, and he doesn't need resources. Instead, I often end up working for my own direct disciple. Old Bai also began to suspect that Yifeng wasn't just a disciple of the sect, he was the sect's god of wealth, a bit too extravagant. Suddenly, Yifeng whispered to the old man in red, you're a 9th grade alchemist, right? Do you know about the 9-leaf soul returning grass? Old Bai and Luo Qinxue were speechless. Here he goes again, showing off. Hearing about the soul returning grass, the old man in red immediately perked up. I'm very familiar with it. Yifeng was startled. For a moment, he thought the old man was about to eat a child. The old man in red shouted, 9-leaf soul returning grass is a legendary spirit herb. Each leaf represents its medicinal efficacy. I've never even seen a single leaf one, let alone a 9-leaf one. Moreover, soul returning grass is essential for refining soul returning pills. These pills can revive someone within 24 hours of death. Even if their soul has reached the underworld, they can slap the king of hell and walk back to life. To put it bluntly, this is the most coveted item for anyone facing a tribulation. With this pill protecting your soul, even if your body is destroyed during the tribulation, your soul can survive and find a way to rebuild your body later. The old man in red asked, why are you suddenly asking about this? Old Bai immediately sensed something was off. If this kid is asking, he probably has it. The old man in red continued, Old Bai, you know about bamboo demon grass, soul returning flower, and purple mist, right? Of course. These 3 spirit herbs always cause a frenzy whenever they appear. Old Bai immediately realized something was wrong. If this kid is asking, he probably has them. The old man in red continued, bamboo demon grass, soul returning flower, and purple mist. You know about them, right? Of course. These 3 spirit herbs always cause a frenzy whenever they appear. Unfortunately, these 3 herbs are extremely rare. Yesterday, this kid used them to soak his feet. The old man in red turned pale. Such extravagance, too extravagant. Old Bai cautiously asked Yifeng, 9-leaf soul returning grass is extremely precious. Please don't use it to soak your feet. Yifeng took out the grass and said, I have 3 stalks. What's wrong with using one to soak my feet? The old man in red nearly lost his mind. His expression turned horrified. Absolutely not. You actually have 3 stalks of 9-leaf soul returning grass? My goodness, today, no matter the cost, I must have these 3 stalks, even if it means sacrificing my old, worn-out body. Yifeng was scolded relentlessly. Using it to soak your feet would be an absolute waste. Utter madness. Suddenly, Yifeng rummaged through his clothes and walked over to Luo Qianxue. He pulled out a stalk of 9-leaf soul-returning grass and said, "Master, this is a gift from your disciple." Luo Qianxue was at a loss for words. First, he spent 100,000 spirit stones to become my disciple, then 400,000 on gifts, and now he's giving me priceless soul-returning grass. She couldn't imagine what else Yifeng might offer in the future. She began to imagine Yifeng trying to win her over. Yifeng, using his extravagant methods, might even force her to submit. Instantly, she felt like a master being pampered by her disciple. She tried to remind herself to stay composed. This time, I absolutely cannot accept the 9-leaf soul-returning grass, but thinking about her future happiness and the possibility of needing a soul-returning pill during her tribulation, she couldn't refuse. Yifeng, on the other hand, was thinking, the second stalk of soul-returning grass is definitely going into my foot soak. No one can stop me. As for the third stalk, he said to Old Bai, if you work hard enough, it might just become yours. Old Bai instantly became Yifeng's loyal follower. Then, a hand landed on Yifeng's shoulder. The old man in red asked, if I work hard enough, can I also get a stalk of 9-leaf soul-returning grass? Yifeng was stunned. The old man in red was shamelessly trying to win him over. An 80-year-old man ripped off his shirt and flexed his muscles in public. Old Bai, feeling threatened, angrily shouted, "Old man, what do you think you're doing? Trying to steal my opportunity right in front of me?" At that moment, the old man in red and Old Bai's 50-year friendship shattered over a single stalk of 9-leaf soul-returning grass. Lung Wufeng, thinking about how Yifeng wanted to use the grass for a foot soak, wondered if he could ask Yifeng to save the foot soak water for him to drink. Suddenly, the old man in red struck a flirtatious pose and approached Luo Qianxue. In ancient times, Lu Bu offered his father to Dong Zhuo. Today, I, Xia Tianyu, humbly offer myself to your sect. I regret not joining earlier. Qianxue, if you don't mind, I'd like to join your sect and become an elder. Luo Qianxue told him to stop joking. A 9th-grade alchemist, a 3rd-level tribulation transcension expert, and the owner of the Tianyu auction house, wants to join my small sect? The old man in red insisted. That's right. He even threatened, if you don't agree, I'll go talk to your father. Yifeng casually pulls out 9 revolutions pills and rare spirit herbs, and even uses them to soak his feet. This shows he doesn't value these treasures, meaning he must have even more incredible things. Luo Qianxue asked, if you join my sect, what will happen to the auction house? That's simple. I'll let my incompetent son manage it. Old Bai was furious, but couldn't do anything. The old man in red mocked him. I love seeing you so angry, but unable to do anything about it. Who knows who'll end up with that stalk of soul-returning grass? At that moment, Luo Qianxue began to question her original goals. She had wanted to focus on cultivation, but now everything was spiraling out of control. The old man in red continued to taunt Old Bai. I love seeing you so angry, but unable to do anything about it. Who knows who'll end up with that stalk of soul-returning grass? At that moment, Luo Qianxue began to question her original goals. She had wanted to focus on cultivation, transcend tribulations, ascend to the upper realm, and seek revenge. But now, the sect has inexplicably gained 2 disciples, and today, a 9th-grade alchemist joined as well. At that moment, Yifeng asked, does anyone know about the golden silkworm star key? The old man in red immediately perked up. You have the golden silkworm star key? Even Old Bai and Luo Qianxue's eyes lit up. For the first time, Yifeng felt a chill run down his spine. He stammered, I was just asking casually. Damn, if I had taken it out just now, these 3 might have actually killed me to silence me. But the trio of cultivators wouldn't let it go so easily. Yifeng must have the golden silkworm star key. Long Wufeng asked Old Bai, what's senior brother Yifeng's background? He's completely inhuman. At that moment, Luo Qianxue's spirit pearl lit up. She immediately picked it up. It was a message from the sect. Luo Qianxue told everyone to return to the sect immediately. Old Bai asked, what's happened? She replied, my father is coming. He's probably here to inspect the sect. When they arrived at the sect, a figure in black stood at the entrance. Luo Qianxue looked nervous. Father, I'm back, she said. The middle-aged man's face was grim. Qianxue, he said coldly, you've disappointed me. The atmosphere turned tense. The air was thick with a stern aura. No one dared to breathe loudly. Luo Qianxue asked in surprise, Father, why are you here? Her father's face darkened. Disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Your Xinghuan sect just recruited disciples a few days ago, but now, there's not even a dog in sight. I thought there would be a group of disciples serving tea, so I brought 10,000 red envelopes. But now, after waiting for 5 hours, not a single person showed up. Luo Qianxue sighed helplessly. She hadn't expected her father to inspect the sect so soon after its founding. She quickly introduced the 2 disciples she had recruited. One is Yifeng, and the other is Long Wufeng. At least she had 2 disciples to show for it. She then pointed to Yifeng. Look, I've even taken Yifeng as my direct disciple. In her previous life, she had been a powerful empress, but she had been an orphan with no parents. This life, she had finally experienced parental love, and she cherished it deeply. Sect leader Luo carefully examined Yifeng, the so-called direct disciple. He was puzzled. His daughter had always been focused on cultivation, and indifferent to everything else. Why had she suddenly taken on a direct disciple? He asked. What's Yifeng's spiritual root? Luo Qianxue replied honestly, he doesn't have one. What about his talent? None that I've noticed yet. Then what's his cultivation level? Luo Qianxue whispered. None. Sect leader Luo nearly spat out blood. So he's just a waste? How did he become your direct disciple? Yifeng said. I paid 500,000 spirit stones for it. Sect leader Luo's face darkened further. You bought your way in? Even a third-rate sect wouldn't be so careless. He thought his daughter had been blinded by money. If you needed money, you could have asked your old man. Suddenly, the old man in red brought over a chair and told Yifeng to sit down. Don't stand. It's tiring. Old Bai scolded him. Don't go too far. The sect leader needs to save face. Then, he brought tea for Yifeng. It's getting cold. Don't catch a chill. Sect leader Luo was furious. Old Bai, do you think I don't exist? Is this how one of the 8 elders of the Xinghuan sect behaves? The old man in red chimed in. Don't be too harsh, sect leader. Yifeng is a treasure. Sect leader Luo was speechless. Is this really one of my elders? The scene was utterly bizarre. Sect leader Luo felt like he was in a nightmare. Old Bai, are you out of your mind? Is this how you treat your sect leader? Moreover, the old man from the auction house arrived a few minutes later. Luo Qianxue explained the situation to her father. Sect leader Luo was overwhelmed. A dog ate 2009 revolutions pills? This is insane. This is a god of wealth, even in my sect. He'd be treated like a VIP. Old Bai said, Sect leader, we've long suspected that Yifeng is from a higher realm. Sect leader Luo gestured for him to stop. Let's not discuss Yifeng anymore. I'm just here to check on my daughter's sect. Now that everything seems fine, I can rest easy. He asked the old man in red to leave, so he could have a private chat with his daughter. Meanwhile, in Yifeng's dorm, Long Wufeng happily brought over a footbath. Senior brother, soak your feet first. I'll throw away the water after you're done. I want to taste it. Yifeng said, I'm not stingy. Go get another basin. We'll split the 9-leaf soul-returning grass. Long Wufeng was moved to tears. On the dorm roof, 2 figures were spying through a hole. Old Bai's face darkened. Yifeng really isn't joking. He's actually using 9-leaf soul-returning grass to soak his feet. The old man in red was nearly fainting. This is inhuman. The next morning, Yifeng felt refreshed. Soaking my feet with 9-leaf soul-returning grass really made a difference. Even my kidneys feel stronger. Too bad only a fraction of the medicinal effect was absorbed through my feet. He checked his system panel. 2,500 extravagance points left. Today's extravagance product, 10,000 yellow spring sword and tint fragments. Yifeng examined one of the fragments. He couldn't figure out what it was. He called the dog over. The dog happily. Yifeng read the system's description. Just touch it to the forehead. In the next moment, the yellow spring sword and tint fragment was absorbed by the dog. The surrounding spiritual energy surged. Visions of martial arts and underworld techniques filled the dog's mind. It was mesmerized. The heavens would be dark without this dog. Yifeng asked, did you just fart? Why didn't the yellow spring sword and tint do anything? He asked the system if he could use the fragments too. The system replied, it's possible, but it will cost a large number of extravagance points. Yifeng. He decided to take the dog to a secluded spot. Meanwhile, sect leader Luo asked his daughter, have you considered taking the 2 youngsters to the Heavenly Tao battlefield for training? Luo Qianxue thought it was a good idea. She wasn't able to teach them much herself. She was confident about Yifeng, but worried about Long Wufeng. Sect leader Luo asked, Yifeng may have many treasures, but he's still just a mortal. Even the weakest demon beasts and cultivators could easily kill him. Why are you so confident about him? Luo Qianxue explained. Yifeng may not have a spiritual root, but he's not an ordinary mortal. He's strong enough to protect himself. Sect leader Luo wasn't convinced. A mortal is still a mortal. Luo Qianxue said, Yifeng has opened his sea of consciousness, and it's 20 times larger than mine. Sect leader Luo was even more skeptical. When you opened your sea of consciousness, you broke the sect's record. How could Yifeng's be 20 times larger? Luo Qianxue insisted. Yifeng is extraordinary. Sect leader Luo sighed. A mortal is still a mortal. Luo Qianxue said, Yifeng has opened his sea of consciousness, and it's 20 times larger than mine. Sect leader Luo was even more skeptical. When you opened your sea of consciousness, a forest 20 times larger than you. It's simply unbelievable. As the 2 argued, A sudden explosion of microwave energy erupted. Both Luo Qianxue and her father were shocked. Even Long Wufeng and Old Xia felt it simultaneously. An ancient, icy voice echoed through the yellow spring road. On the soul-crossing bridge, the sword remains sheathed, but the person dies first. In an instant, everyone rushed out of the sect. Luo Qianxue asked Old Bai, "Did you feel that? What about Long Wufeng? This sword intent is too terrifying. Wufeng can't withstand it." Sect leader Luo shouted. "Old Bai, Old Xia, I'll lead the way. You two cover me." Their eyes fell on Yifeng, who was not far away. The next moment, everyone froze in place. They saw Yifeng playing a game of fetch with a dog. The scene seemed normal, but the dog was anything but ordinary. It was radiating an overwhelming yellow spring sword intent. They realized the yellow spring sword intent was emanating from a mere stray dog. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would believe a dog could comprehend such an incredibly difficult and powerful sword intent? Luo Qianxue couldn't hold back anymore. She asked Yifeng, "Did this dog just comprehend sword intent on its own?" Yifeng replied, "How could that be? It's just a dumb dog. How could it comprehend sword intent? I just fed it some sword intent fragments." The four cultivators were utterly dumbfounded. He fed yellow spring sword intent fragments to a dog? Who wouldn't slap him twice for that? Yifeng suddenly realized something was off. The looks from sect leader Luo and Old Xia were unsettling. Luo Qianxue explained, "Yellow spring sword intent is one of the most powerful sword intents in the world. Even in the heavenly Dao battlefield, it's extremely rare. Obtaining something like this depends entirely on luck. Yet you not only have it, but also feed it to a dog? When will you stop being so wasteful?" Yifeng asked, "What's the heavenly Dao battlefield?" Luo Qianxue told him, "My father is here to take us there for training. The Xintian continent is just a lower-tier world. Any lower-tier world can enter the heavenly Dao battlefield, and depending on one's cultivation level, they are assigned to different zones. No one knows how this place came to be, but everyone knows. It contains treasures of the great era, ancient legacies, and cultivation resources. But it's also incredibly dangerous. One misstep, and you'll be crushed by the powerful beings inside." Suddenly, the system's voice rang out, "Host, please proceed to the second level of the heavenly Dao battlefield. Kill 100 peak Qi refinement realm demonic beasts." Yifeng looked at the mission rewards. Normally, it was 100 points, but this time, it was a large amount of waste points. The reward was good, but he was currently just a cultivator with no combat skills, a complete noob in battle. Sect leader Luo asked Yifeng, "How many sword intent fragments did you feed this dog?" The dog's sword intent is as strong as a sword master's. It's on the verge of breaking through to the sword heart realm. He recalled that the last person to reach the sword heart realm was his sect's ancestor, who had been in seclusion for hundreds of years. Before barely stepping into the sword heart realm, that ancestor had comprehended the frost sword heart, which was nowhere near the level of the yellow spring sword heart. Yifeng smiled and said, "Not many, just about 10,000 sword intent fragments." He had fed 10,000 fragments to the dog, and it had exhausted him. The next moment, he felt a chill down his spine. The four cultivators were staring at him, as if he were a dead man. The group exploded in anger. "You bastard! You fed 10,000 yellow spring sword intent fragments to a dog? You're utterly heartless and insane. A single fragment could cause a bloodbath in the cultivation world, and you fed them all to a dog." Yifeng also realized something was wrong and quickly apologized. The four cultivators told him that if he ever had such things again, he should definitely call them for help first. What was the point of giving it to a dog? Luo Qianxue urged her father to take Yifeng away immediately. She was afraid she might lose control and slap this wasteful guy to death. Sect leader Luo grabbed Yifeng and took off into the air, saying he would bring him back after finishing their business. He was also afraid he might lose control and kill this wasteful guy. Mid-air, Yifeng asked sect leader Luo, "Where are we going now?" "To the real sect of the Starry Sky sect, to gather your fellow disciples and head to the heavenly Dao battlefield." Yifeng asked, "Sect leader, is our sect strong? Why don't we even have demonic beasts for food? If the sect is too poor, I'm willing to contribute. Do my fellow disciples have enough to eat? Does the sect need investment for expansion?" These words made the sect leader's scalp tingle. It seemed like this guy was about to bankrupt the sect. Sect leader Luo told him to shut up. The Starry Sky sect was wealthy beyond measure and needed nothing. That night, the two stayed at an inn to rest. They booked 2 single rooms. Yifeng said, "Sect leader, I'll pay." Lying in bed, Yifeng pondered, "I wonder what tomorrow's wasteful product will be." Earning 1,000 waste points every day is exhausting. The next morning, Yifeng woke up and immediately opened the system panel. Looking at today's wasteful product, it was actually 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Today's task would be much simpler to handle. With some experience, Yifeng was instantly full of confidence, knowing how to quickly waste it all. Step 1. Buy 5 spirit grass seeds from the system mall, specifically human grade or higher. According to the spirit grass seed description, the probability of low consumption should also be 90%. 100 waste points spent. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a human grade high quality martial skill. Flame Dragon Fist. Loading now. Yifeng smiled proudly. Just as I analyzed. But wait, the Flame Dragon Fist? The system reminded him. You need fire attribute spiritual energy to use it. Yifeng was dumbfounded. He was a waste with no spiritual roots. Where would he get fire attribute spiritual energy? The system told him, try focusing. You might just get it. Sure enough, the next moment, Yifeng felt a surge of spiritual energy swirling in his palm. He couldn't believe it. A waste with no spiritual roots could actually convert spiritual energy into attribute energy. The Flame Dragon Fist was truly mastered. At that moment, Sect Leader Luo told Yifeng to get up. It was time to continue their journey. On the way, Sect Leader Luo asked Yifeng, why were you eating breakfast so slow? Yifeng said, chewing slowly is good for the body and mind. It's all about health preservation. The next moment, Sect Leader Luo noticed something was off. He suddenly turned and asked Yifeng what he was doing. Yifeng was tossing handfuls of high-grade spirit stones, saying, high-altitude welfare, leaving opportunities for those who are prepared. Without hesitation, he dumped all the spirit stones. This made Sect Leader Luo very Yifeng, although you are truly capable, spirit stones are valuable. You can't be so wasteful. Don't regret it one day, when you have nothing left. Yifeng asked Sect Leader Luo, do you know what the most painful thing in life is? Sect Leader Luo answered seriously. Sword cultivators suffer from failing to comprehend the true essence of the sword. Alchemists regret not leaving behind peerless pills. Yifeng said, Sect Leader, my situation is different. My greatest pain is dying before I can spend all my money. The man's spending habits were utterly inhuman. As the cultivation experts flew, he kept spending. Finally, at the entrance of the Starry Sky sect, Yifeng had looking at the grandeur of the Starry Sky sect, it was incomparable to the previous shabby mountain. Sect Leader Luo said, Song Jishir. This is the new disciple Qianxue has taken in. Sect Leader Luo introduced. This is Yifeng, Qianxue's newly accepted disciple. In a few days, he will go to the heavenly Dao battlefield with the other disciples. Sect Leader Luo instructed Yifeng to prepare, as they would depart in 3 days. Yifeng, being quite sensible, cupped his hands and said, I'll trouble Song Jishir these next few days. At that moment, Yifeng noticed a commotion nearby, likely some event. He asked Song Jishir what was happening. Today is the day for sparring between outer and inner sect disciples. If you're interested, you can go watch. Suddenly, the system chimed in. Host, please become the Leitu Challenge Champion and defeat 100 opponents of the same realm. Mission success reward, 500 waste points. At this moment, Yifeng had completely forgotten Sect Leader Luo's instructions. Now, for the sake of 500 waste points, he was ready to fight anyone. Meanwhile, the sparring arena was packed with outer and inner sect disciples. Suddenly, a stranger walked onto the stage. The disciples were puzzled. This guy isn't wearing the Starry Sky sect's robes. Is he here to challenge the sect? Yifeng immediately. Everyone, my name is Yifeng. At the peak of the 9th level of Qi refinement, I am Luo Qianxue's only direct disciple. Today, I've come to challenge the Leitu champion. Please enlighten me, seniors. Instantly, the crowd erupted. Wow, the saintess's direct disciple. I heard she went out to establish her own sect. I didn't expect it to be true. At that moment, a figure stepped onto the stage. A man with curly hair said, I'll take the first match. The crowd buzzed. It's Meng Yang. Rumor has it he reached the peak of the 9th level of Qi refinement in just 3 years. The cultivation technique he practices is the Emperor grade, Central Palace Divine Art. Yifeng looked at You seem quite famous in the sect. Are you the sect's heartthrob? Meng Yang replied. It took me less than 3 years to reach the peak of the 9th level. How long did it take you, Brother Yi? Yifeng generously told him. From opening my spiritual sea to the peak of the 9th level, it took me 10 minutes. From the spiritual sea to the peak of the 9th level of Qi refinement, it took a full 20 minutes. Meng Yang was stunned. Is this guy insane? What is he even saying? Even a reincarnated cultivation expert couldn't boast like this. The man's spending habits were utterly inhuman, and his ability to show off was unparalleled. Watching the crowd of cultivators, Yifeng thought, this is the perfect place to show off. Just moments ago, Yifeng claimed, he reached the peak of Qi refinement in just 20 minutes. This left both cultivators and non-cultivators speechless. The arena fell into dead silence. Meng Yang stood in the wind, utterly bewildered. This guy has mastered the art of showing off. Disciples of the Starry Sky sect muttered. Meng Yang, hailed as a once-in-a-century genius, took 3 years to break through. This guy claims he did it in 30 minutes. Even taking a dump takes longer than that. Does he think cultivation can be bought with money? Others chimed in. Yifeng is clearly full of hot air. Let's see Meng Yang beat him up. Some gritted their teeth, thinking, if he really has such talent, those prodigies will be overshadowed forever. Yifeng turned to the crowd and said, you wouldn't understand. Some things really can be bought with money. Meng Yang, now furious, told him to stop talking nonsense, and charged at him with a technique called blue-silver grass entanglement. Yifeng warned, "This punch carries 20 years of power. Be careful." With that, he unleashed the flaming dragon fist. A fiery dragon phantom appeared, scaring Meng Yang out of his wits. What the hell is this? As the dragon emerged, the temperature around them skyrocketed. Some weaker disciples even fainted from the heat. Meng Yang, being a top-tier genius, knew he couldn't dodge this attack. He braced himself for the impact. The crowd watched in awe as the fiery dragon closed in. Meng Yang knew he was in trouble. Only the 5G wave-splitting technique can withstand it. The fire dragon is charging fiercely. It has already opened its ferocious jaws. Suddenly, he summons a giant sword. Swinging it with full strength, he uses the dense wave-splitting technique to block. The fire dragon collides with the shadow of the dragon. A loud explosion erupts. The power of the collision is too overwhelming. Many disciples activate their protective shields, shouting to protect the weaker junior disciples. But a group of them starts cursing because they overestimated themselves. The terrifying spiritual energy impact is something they can't withstand. After the danger passes, a group of them exclaims in shock, "Look, that fire dragon is still there, and it looks completely unharmed." The most miserable one is Meng Yao. Right now, he's being cooked by the fire dragon, slowly roasted. The fire dragon is clearly dissatisfied with Meng Yang's earlier scratch-like attack. Meng Yang now feels like dying. He no longer wants to show off. The cost is just too high. This guy in front of him has no concept of restraint. Yifeng, on the other hand, strikes a flamboyant pose. He already knew how this would end, so he had his moves prepared. As Yifeng continues to unleash fire dragon punches, more and more fire dragons appear on the arena. Meng Yang is chased to the edge of the arena. He's about to be cooked by the fire dragon. He's completely shattered. This guy isn't human. What kind of monster is he? The amount of spiritual energy he has is terrifying. In the next moment, he makes the right decision. This guy is too inhuman. If this continues, I'll meet Buddha. So he simply surrenders and jumps off the arena. At this moment, Yifeng transforms. Yifeng, the ancestor of the Yi family, shouts with joy. Who else is there? I can take on 10,000. When a man stops spending recklessly and cultivates immortality, he can punch and kick his way through. Accompanying him, an 80-year-old from Wudong Mountain and a 90-year-old from Mei Mountain. Just as Yifeng completely abandons his humanity, he experiences the joy of being a cultivation master. But the disciples of the sect suffer. They curse endlessly. Every word is laced with sarcasm. Their curses are filled with bitterness. They shout, "This guy is too inhuman." Watching the sect being ruthlessly destroyed, the elders can no longer sit still. Yifeng smiles. "Those who offend me will not escape, but I will destroy them with a single strike." Yifeng's heart burns with passion. Is this the thrill of reckless cultivation? Is this the joy of cultivation? The elder, seeing this flamboyant brat, orders, "All disciples, listen up. Those at the peak of the Qi movement stage, step forward. The rest of you, retreat and clear the arena. Now, charge at him. Remember, don't kill him. Just beat him until even his parents won't recognize him." The disciples are shocked. Is this crazy? 200 people attacking at once? Can Yifeng handle this? No wonder the holy maiden took him as her disciple. He truly has extraordinary abilities. Another disciple says, "This guy is terrifying. Fighting 1 against 100. He has the courage of an army. If he wins this battle, he will surely earn a place on the Qianlong ranking. If he wins, he'll be famous. If he loses, the whole village will mourn." At this moment, commanding all disciples to release they gather it together to form a spiritual energy shield. The disciples obey. One by one, they respond. They continuously release their spiritual energy, forming a protective shield. This makes Yifeng feel uneasy. They're ganging up on me? Even though I have vast spiritual energy, if they use human wave tactics, I'll exhaust myself before breaking their shield. Seeing that he only has 4,000 extravagance points left, he has no choice. He can only spend more to draw a top-tier Earthgrade technique. Congratulations, host. You've spent 700 extravagance points. You've drawn the top-tier Earthgrade technique, 9 Thunderblades. It's clear that once Yifeng starts spending, he won't stop at just a little. In the next second, he continues to draw. Another top-tier Earthgrade technique, Water Dragon's Chant, is drawn. Yifeng continues to splurge, thinking that drawing one more spiritual energy technique should be enough. 700 extravagance points consumed. Obtained Earthgrade technique, Whirling Sandstorm. Seeing his now full arsenal of techniques, he reveals a satisfied smile once again. In an instant, spiritual energy erupts wildly. A top-tier Earthgrade technique, 9 Thunderblades, appears, surrounding lightning crackles. Then, stepping on a formation, another Earthgrade technique, Water Dragon's Chant, emerges. The Water Dragon's Chant and 9 Thunderblades merge, creating a fused weapon. Its power increases hundreds of times. The disciples below, holding up their spiritual energy shields, are struck by the lightning energy. Moreover, the fusion of water and lightning energy leaves them wondering, what level is this weapon? Is he even human? What kind of monster crawled out of the latrine? He actually possesses 3 spiritual roots. Just the residual energy from this attack is enough to inspire awe and fear. Suddenly, someone exclaims, "What's going on? A strong wind?" Having experienced the joy of cultivation, Yifeng completely abandons his humanity. He warns the 200 disciples. This strike is the power of 20 years of singlehood, a fusion of 9 thunderblades, water dragon's chant, and whirling sandstorm. A top-tier earth-grade fusion technique is unleashed by Yifeng. The pressure is overwhelming. The 200 disciples' spiritual energy shields instantly tremble. The group shouts, "This isn't working." They're completely drained. The opponent's range is too vast. No one can withstand such an impact. The most shocked is the sect elder. Seeing the weapon Yifeng used, he's utterly stunned. This guy really has the strength to show off. He's actually a rare quadruple element cultivator. Using Xiao Yan's Buddha's Fury Lotus, he shouts, "I am already invincible. Why borrow strength from others?" The sect disciples are dumbfounded. He's actually a little hater too. Hearing this, Yifeng mercilessly throws the Buddha's Fury Lotus. In an instant, countless disciples are blown away, leaving only their iron underwear. Yifeng's reputation for evil spreads further. He now wears the smile of a true villain. The disciples of the Star Sect take out their underwear and wave them as white flags in surrender. The elder, Songji, never expected this outcome. He initially thought Yifeng was too arrogant and wanted the disciples to teach him a lesson, but instead, they uncovered a quadruple element cultivator who has mastered 3 top-tier earthgrade techniques. This guy is utterly inhuman, terrifyingly powerful. He'll surely secure a spot in the top 10 of the Qianlong ranking. Yifeng, still unsatisfied, condenses another Buddha's Fury Lotus. He laughs arrogantly. The arrogance of youth must be fully embraced. If you're not wild in your youth, what's the point of being human? The Star Sect disciples are fed up. This guy is truly inhuman. After hours of fighting, he's still full of energy. This battle made him famous. Turns out, we were the clowns all along. Meanwhile, in the Star Sect's main hall, 5 other disciples are waiting. The princess left the sect in a hurry a few days ago. Today, she just returned and summoned us. I wonder what she wants to announce. At this moment, sect leader Luo arrives. He says, "I do have something to announce. You'll soon have a new junior brother." His cultivation is at the peak of the Qi movement stage. The 5 immediately start discussing. Finally, a junior brother. He's no longer the youngest core disciple. Qin Fei speaks up. "We're already a top sect in the Xintian continent. To become a core disciple, his talent and comprehension must be top tier, right?" Someone asks the sect leader, "Does our junior brother have any special qualities?" Sect leader Luo replies, "Yes. He's really good at spending money to show off." The disciples are speechless. This is the little junior brother's extraordinary talent. Even those loose cultivator big shots are nothing. In front of our sect, they're not even worth mentioning. The sect master told them, "You don't understand yet. After spending some time with him, you'll see. That thing is utterly inhuman. Once the Heavenly Dao battlefield ends, you all will follow him to the Star Soul variety show created by the Holy Maiden for a while. By the way, don't blame me for not warning you. Keep your wits about you when you're around him. This little junior brother of yours, even the tiniest thing he scrapes from under his fingernails, could sustain you for a lifetime." Just thinking about how Yifeng can make a dog, Huang Quan suggested that he let the 5 genius disciples stay by Yifeng's side. Not only could the sect nurture 5 peerless experts, but it could also free up resources for the development of other disciples. Thinking about how these 5 disciples might not even compare to a dog, the old man laughed even more joyfully. If the 5 disciples were to meet the dog that Huang Quan recommended, they'd probably be scared to death. The 5 of them looked at the sect who had only been gone for a few days, and it seemed like he had lost his mind. Sect Master Luo turned around and smiled. "Some things can only be understood after experiencing them firsthand. Only then will you know what true hardship is. Now, come with me to meet your pay-to-win junior brother." Just moments ago, Luo Wuming repeatedly warned the disciples to remember his words. Their little junior brother is definitely a big shot. At the right moment, the 5 disciples should even be willing to be Yifeng's lackeys. At that moment, outside the sect's arena, a group of disciples was discussing, "Is senior brother Yifeng really that amazing? He's ridiculously strong. 4 spiritual roots, 3 imperial techniques, and unparalleled combat skills. Senior brother Yifeng's comprehension is too monstrous. And the most important thing is that in the Divine War, he fought against 200 opponents of the same level for 200 years, but the battle ended with just a flick of his finger." The 5 disciples felt like they had missed something important. Chun Hao Yu asked, "Sect Master, are you sure junior brother is just a rich wastrel? Doesn't he have any special skills or strengths?" Luo Wuming shook his head and said he didn't know much about Yifeng, only that he was very wealthy. He suggested asking the inner sect disciples for more information about Yifeng. This half-hearted response left the 5 cultivators utterly confused. Was this really the same profound and wise sect master? He didn't even know what his junior brother's strengths were, yet he gave him the status of a star disciple. A moment later, they arrived at the arena hall, which was in complete disarray. resembling a massive disaster zone. Du Yuetian, with her twin tails, asked, "Wasn't today supposed to be a sparring match between outer and inner sect disciples?" Xia Tiantian replied, "Well, it seems like the style of the competition has changed to a free-for-all brawl." Luo Wuming asked Songji, "What's going on? Did a level 17 typhoon hit the sect?" Songji began to explain excitedly, "One battle to become a legend. This kid has the potential of an emperor. Sect master Yi Feng is invincible among his peers. He fought 1 against 100, using a Earth-grade fusion technique, and shocked everyone with his Raging Flames Lotus. He achieved a complete victory." Chen Haoyu was stunned. "What kind of monster is this? He single-handedly defeated 200 opponents of the same level in such a devastating manner." This left both cultivators and non-cultivators speechless. Even the usually calm Luo Wuchen couldn't stay composed. "Tell me everything that happened, and don't leave out any details." 3 minutes later, Luo Wuchen absorbed everything. He then remembered what his daughter had once said. Yi Feng's spiritual sea is 20 times larger than mine, and his daughter's spiritual sea was already 20 times larger than an average person's. Yi Feng's was another 20 times larger than hers. This was like super compounding. In other words, Yi Feng's spiritual energy was equivalent to 400 cultivators of the same level. No wonder he had always treated Yi Feng as a waste. He had never bothered to check the depth of Yi Feng's spiritual sea. Suddenly, Zhao Tianming began to act erratically. Can one person's spiritual energy really be so abundant, to such an insane degree? "Princess, you're not being fair. You hid our junior brother's secrets from us. You only told us he was a rich wastrel, but you didn't mention a word about him having 4 spiritual roots, or comprehending 3 Earth-grade martial techniques. Not a single word. Old man, is it fun for you to mess with us like this?" Chen Haoyu came over and asked Songji, "Where did junior brother go?" "He's already returned to the main peak for inner sect cultivation." The others also got the signal, and in an instant, with a few whooshes, they all disappeared. They all flew toward the main peak of the inner sect. They assured the sect master they would first go see this so-called junior brother. At that moment, Songji asked Chen Haoyu, "You called Yi Feng junior brother. Does the sect master intend to make him the 6th core disciple?" Luo Wuming told Songji to suppress today's events, and not let the 3rd elder know about them. After all, Yi Feng was his daughter's direct disciple. Songji told him it was already too late. Not only did the 3rd elder know, but the other 4 elders were also aware. Luo Wuming sighed softly. "It seems this matter can no longer be hidden. From now on, it's up to Yi Feng to remain consistent and only enjoy the soft life my daughter provides."